everyone. If you've ever wondered how reality has been created for you and how you can start creating reality for yourself, this is the video for you. Reality has been defined as existence that is absolute, self-sufficient, or objective, and not subject to human decisions or conventions. But I don't quite agree with that. For many reasons we'll discuss further, but the main one being that it implies that reality only imprints itself upon us, rather than what I believe to be true, which is that we also imprint ourselves upon reality. A symbiotic relationship of sorts, which is demonstrated throughout nature and reality in so many different ways. The way I see it is that reality needs us just as much as we need reality, because I believe we create it, collectively and singularly. And I believe the reason that information isn't more widely known and understood today is because someone else has been creating our realities for us. Let me explain what I mean by that. So I believe we are constantly shifting between different levels of consciousness, which is represented by our waking state, dream state, and deep states, for example, which are different levels of consciousness most of us experience every day and night. But it's not just the different levels of consciousness we constantly shift between. I believe we're also constantly shifting between different realities as well. We live in an infinite universe with infinite possibilities. It's as if all possibilities you can imagine exist, and you're constantly merging with the one reality that matches your current aligned vibration. Because all that truly exists is the vibration of energy. All things in the known universe are made up of matter, matter is made up of atoms, and atoms are made up of pure conscious energy, which at its core is a vibration that emits a frequency, meaning everything, including you, at its most basic level of existence is energy. So it's as if your energy is constantly aligning to different waves of energy that are a vibrational match to your current state of being, which is measured by the summation of your thoughts, beliefs, perceptions, and actions, because those as well are all energetic vibrations that are the components that build your reality. We as energetic beings are in a constant state of motion and expansion of awareness, as is everything around us, even if we can't perceive it, which is why it's so important for us to understand the hand we have in creating our realities and the hand others have. So to further explain how and why we create our own realities, let's talk about collective consciousness and singular consciousness. So collective consciousness is defined as the fundamental sociological concept that refers to a set of shared beliefs, ideas, attitudes, and knowledge that are common to a social group or society. So collective consciousness is referring to the countries, societies, and families we're born and raised in. All of these factors play a huge role in who we become, how we see the world, and what we perceive as normal. The way it works is that each country has a form of government or leadership that has created certain laws, regulations, norms, and standards that they have required their citizens to live by, which becomes reinforced by each country's societal structure. An example of that would be capitalism. So this government-created structure basically creates a blueprint each family and person must navigate through and live by to survive comfortably within the society. So it's as if the leaders of each society create the foundation and narrative of what reality is with its laws, regulations, norms, and standards. And by us constantly perpetuating and abiding by their designed narrative, we create and reinforce a collective understanding and agreement of sorts as to what we think reality is based upon what we know and what we've been exposed to, which is often limited to where you were born and raised. And the tricky thing about that is that the blueprint of each society was majorly designed and created before most of us alive were even born. So we're just born into a narrative of reality that's already been created for us. And by default of not knowing or being exposed to anything else, we become indoctrinated into that country's and society's sense of normality without any real conscious choice of our own. Someone else designed and created the narrative of reality we're born into. That is how someone else has been creating our realities. The leaders of our world decide what we know and how we learn it before we can even consciously understand that's what's happening. They've been able to shape and mold our minds in this way before we're consciously aware that our minds are even being molded, which is a very dangerous thing to be unaware of, because then we can be led to believe whatever someone else wants us to believe, whether it's true or not. Which is why being open-minded and exploring different societal norms and ideologies outside of your immediate environment is so important, so that you can truly choose what you think and what you believe for yourself, rather than by default clinging to the design narrative you were raised and surrounded by your whole life. Because that normal sense of reality we grew up in was created for us before our time by someone else. And when we collectively agree to a sense of normality, we call that reality, whether it's right or wrong. Now let's talk about where our power to create our own realities kick in. So our power lies in the fact that while we live in this collective reality with everyone else, where we can experience and interact with each other, we also at the same time simultaneously exist in this singular reality that is just ours, separate from the collective. This is something I like to call the personal reality boundary, because I am me and you are you, and we can't cross that boundary of becoming one another. We have our own personalities, thoughts, goals, dreams, and desires and individuality that no one else would know exist unless we told or expressed it to them. So it's as if through our own unique lens, created by our perceptions and belief systems, we internalize what we experience in the collective reality and then project those things outwards in the form of our personalities, designed by our personal realities, based upon how we see the world and who we believe we are, based upon the experiences we've had throughout our lives. Reality is created for you when you're growing up, because the only basis of life you have is the one that you've lived, which was completely created by society's leaders and the other people who raised you, not you yourself. But there then comes a point when you can start consciously creating for yourself. You either continue perpetuating the sense of normality that you grew up surrounded by, or you start creating your own. Either way, you are now adding to whatever reality you're surrounded by, which is a part of the collective consciousness. But you deciding what you're personally going to create is a part of your singular consciousness. They've created the narrative of reality, and our perpetuation of that narrative keeps it alive. Our environment shapes us, and we shape our environment. You do get to choose what you take from your environment, but you're not always aware of that, which can cause you to internalize and abide by things that aren't aligned with who you truly are. For example, Mother Nature provides all of us with food, water, shelter, and medicine for free. But because a system such as capitalism was created before we were born, we've let others convince us to believe that paying for Earth's natural resources is normal. It's not normal. That's represented in Mother Nature herself not requiring us to pay a fee. But because it's all we've ever known, we do it anyway. That is how someone else is able to create your reality. Now, an example of creating your own reality can be seen in rich people and poverty-stricken people. For example, rich people and poverty-stricken people exist in the same collective reality together, simultaneously, without becoming one another. Why is that? Because we each create our own realities through our own perceptions and beliefs that we've developed through our life's experiences. A rich person knows poverty exists, but it doesn't exist within their personal reality because they don't allow it to. They don't believe that it can. Their belief system does not allow them to believe being poverty-stricken is a real possibility for them. Yes, it's a real possibility that exists within the collective reality, but not in their personal reality. Because again, we get to choose what we believe and what we become, what we engage in and what we don't. But due to the average person not being taught the knowledge of how their brain functions and uses their environment and repetition of their environment to create who they believe they are, we can tend to believe a lot of things about ourselves and about life that aren't true, like capitalism is normal, for example, or that we don't have the power to create our own realities. When you let other people tell you how to live without listening to your intuition or doing your own research, you are subjecting yourself to only believing and understanding the opinions and perceptions of others, which could never be the full truth, just a possible version of it, because what you perceive as your reality and your experience of reality is not reality itself as a whole. It's only a version of it. That's another reason why open-mindedness and self-exploration is so important, because life genuinely looks and feels a little different for all of us, and it should. We were all uniquely made for a reason. And when someone else gets to choose the information you know and how you learn it, they get to manipulate your viewpoints and perceptions on the world, manipulating all of your decisions and choices, manipulating everything you know about the world and about yourself, which is the main reason you may not have known all of this information. Life is so much more than we think it is, because we've let the wrong people paint our picture, and we've believed them. And the even bigger truth to all of this is that the reason we can exist in the collective reality and our own personal singular reality simultaneously is because truly at our core, we are all one. Separation is an illusion. Quite literally, everything we see is an illusion. Solids don't exist. They just appear to exist because of their rate of vibration and how our bodies perceive that vibration. Because our bodies don't have the ability to see the world in all of its truest forms. For example, you know how there are things that are so small you need a microscope to see them. That doesn't mean that those things don't exist. It just means that our bodies don't have the ability to perceive something that small. Like I said earlier, everything in the known universe, and I mean everything, is energy, a vibration that emits a frequency. And energy can never be created or destroyed, just transmuted. Meaning that the energy that exists within us and all around us has always been and always will be. We all derive from the same source. We are all different variations of the same whole, expressing ourselves in human form. We are the universe becoming conscious of itself. There is some force that governs the laws of nature, a force that encourages the flowers to bloom and the leaves to fall. That same source also lives within us, prompting our blood to circulate and our heart to beat without our conscious interference. You can call that whatever you want: God, energy, source, the universe. The choice is yours and should always be yours. But the truth is that that source, that force, exists within all things and all beings. That source is all of us. Only due to the illusions of the 3D world of planet Earth do we forget our true roots of oneness. The illusion of separation helps us to grow on a perceivably individual level. Without it, our souls wouldn't have the right environment to grow and learn, and most importantly, consciously evolve. There's so much more to life than we've ever been taught or exposed to, and that's purposeful, because this knowledge is true power, and true power can't be controlled. We have the power to create who we want to be and what we want to experience. We just have to understand how to do it for ourselves, rather than being indoctrinated into unconsciously allowing others to do it for us. And the best way to do that is to remove all the collective expectations society and your families may have placed on you, to do your own research, to trust yourself first, and to step into your power and create and move authentically from your heart. So in this way, you are imprinting who you authentically are and what you truly want onto reality, rather than letting the design narratives of reality imprint themselves upon you. Reality in life is truly what we make it. So let go of what doesn't serve or make sense to you, and go and find what does. Find who you truly are, and create for you. As always, keep an open mind, do your own research, and think for yourself. Sending so much love.